All right, let's do a quick little sound check. See if you guys can hear me. So Ernest is already claiming the top spot, huh? We gotta look at all over the. Already up on the ticket, yeah. Well, it's because there's like a double ticket thing tonight. Remember, we have to do the drawing from last Thursday. I realize when we have one running, we can't actually pick the winner, so we're gonna have to do a back-to-back one at the very, very end. Welcome, Corey. Good seeing you. Good seeing you. All right, so Corey can hear us, so the rest of you are on those slow internet connections. We'll just kind of see how that goes when you guys eventually catch up. Man, it's Tuesday already. We are halfway through January already, which is absolutely crazy. I can't believe we're like that far into this month already. Um, I had a calendar alert pop up, and I was like, wow. So yeah, we're here. Pretty exciting. Halfway through. It's been a crazy month so far. All I gotta say is if the rest of the year is as crazy as this month has been so far, whew, we're gonna be in for a lot. Yeah, it's gonna be nuts, right? Especially with the election and everything at the end of the year, it's gonna be nuts. All right, so looking at today, wasn't the craziest day worth of movement. As you can see, looking across the top, starting off with the euro dollar, we're only down 5 pips in 24 hours. And you can see it's basically green in the last hour and only down a little bit. So again, not as much movement as we'd liked. I remember last night I was talking to you guys about CPI. I expected it to come in, and if anything, core would be at 0.1, and core was literally at 0.1. So it basically was right where the expectation was. So really nothing besides that was there to change the markets today. And even when you're looking down at the news, not really a whole lot in there that we could really, I mean, not really anything that we can do in here. Um, so we'll see. This is the only thing in here that I thought was pretty noteworthy was this the China tariffs to stay until after U.S. elections, the spike deal. So again, there's some funny business going on there, and I said that yesterday, but yeah, there's still some funny business on here. Um, yeah, we'll see. Pound obviously up a little bit more today. Actually, the pound dollar was up more than the pound yen, which is pretty interesting. Typically, it's the other way around. You see the pound yen offering more movement. The pound dollar up 34 pips. So very, very small pop, less than half of what its ATR is for the day. So, not crazy movement there. Dollar yen obviously down 7. Really not a whole lot of movement. Dollar Swiss was the biggie. You can see that as the most movement, down 40. And again, it's red over the last hour. But again, a lot of that is over the last 24 hours. And again, some of that has to do with the Chinese deal. And, um, you know, I didn't see this one. This is actually new. I must have missed this earlier today. Rockets hit an Iraqi based. It's the insurgent people again. So I thought this was interesting too, just in speaking of with, watching the Swiss, that Iran makes arrests over plane disaster. It's like, wait, you're arresting the guy for doing what he was probably told to do? It sounds a little fishy to me, but we'll see. Um, Dollar CAD up 5, which is absolutely nothing for the day. Aussie dollar 9, nothing. Euro pound minus 26, and then pound yen obviously the 28. So nothing too crazy here. And like I said, CPI came in exactly more or less what I expected. I expected, as I said, I expected the 0.1. If it came into 0.2, I didn't expect any other miss besides that. And that's really it. There was really no other news today. So going into tomorrow, we have a little bit more news coming out. So first things first, we have at 4:30 in the morning, we have CPI for the pound, which should be a little bit interesting. Anytime you see any type of inflation numbers, it always could kind of lead to what's next. Is there going to be some type of rate hike? Is there going to be a rate cut? And again, it was forecast. It's forecast at 1.5. The previous is 1.5. The birds look like they want to be put in the hallway already tonight. But again, forecast and previous are more or less dead on. And again, CPI has the power to movement. You guys can see that the accuracy of the forecast is not so great. The last 5 in a row have missed, and actually, scrolling this one out, pretty common, although the last 5 have been pretty horrendous for them. So we'll see how this is going to turn out. Like I said, if you're awake, this could be some type of a little parabolic retracement trade in the morning, a little bit of a pop, and then it'll just retrace back to where it was. Unless it's a really horrendous miss, but I don't see that being. And again, PPI numbers as well. Now, 8:30 tomorrow morning before our market opens, we have our PPI numbers. And again, you guys can see there's a little bit of disparity between the core and the standard. Previous last time was minus 0.2 and then 00. So coming in at forecast at 0.2 and 0.2, I'm expecting that we're going to have a little bit of a miss tomorrow, and we'll kind of see what that does for the day. It'll probably affect things early morning, but I don't think it's going to be necessarily an earth-shattering move for the day. One number I am very, very interested on tomorrow morning is going to be crude oil. reason why crude oil is kind of something that I'm looking at is because we've had so much kind of movement and drama and fear that spiked numbers and then the collapse in it. It should be interesting to see. Last time we definitely had a big miss. When you're looking at where we were previously, we were forecast to be down 3.4 mil, and we had a surplus of 1.2. Now they're forecasting zero point 0.4. It's kind of like, are they going to be off again? And I don't think we've had. I mean, I can't say that we've had a extremely kind of cold winter thus far. Like, I don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't see anything that's really going to drive those numbers. But we'll see where it comes out. It seems like they have a, seems like they have the ability to miss pretty often here. So we'll see what tomorrow looks like, but I think that could be a pretty nice little mover in the morning time. And if we get a chance, we'll look at oil tonight, depending on what time we go to. And then we have a little FOMC stuff, although I don't think either of these two are going to be necessarily market movers. So at that point, whatever direction the market looks like it's going to take at 10:30, I think we're pretty much going to ride that till the end of the day, and we'll see how that goes into the next day. Okay. Give them birds a Benadryl, maybe. Yeah, winter's been pretty warm. Yeah, it was 70 here 2 days ago. Where's our oil cowboy? He's on the phone with his people. His people, you know how it is. All right, so looking at the latest news stories, nothing in here really kind of stands out as being, "Ooh, look at that." This is what we're dealing with. Kiwi fruit prices hit record high. I mean, I guess that matters for New Zealand, but again, that's kind of on the list of the latest and greatest right now is kiwi prices. Obviously big things are this one. China tariffs to stay until after U.S. election, despite deal. What makes this interesting is because there will be a retaliation on this one. If you're leaving your tariffs on, then we're going to leave yours on too. As you can see, U.S. to review possibly trim China tariffs at later date. So it's like, why if you're going to leave ours on, then we're just going to leave yours on too. So even though we have a deal, what does the deal mean if you're not dropping anything? Again, like I said, their economies have been hurt, and the reason is they're kind of banking on the election. It just shows that they understand that something the election is a big deal, but they know who's going to be the harder side to deal with. I don't know. I mean, originally they were told that they were not interested in any of the negotiating with any of the Democratic presidents, and the reason why is because the environment and humanities. Neither of them would be favorable towards China, and Trump is not as, not as into those things. So it is very interesting that they're going to start playing games, and again, like we've seen a lot of slowing in China. So if they want to keep messing with it, then tell you right now, if he does get reelected and they're messing around with him now, wait to see what happens after he gets elected when he has 4 years of whatever. Don't think it's a smart idea on China's part at this point, but we will see. All right. Besides that, guys, that's pretty much it as far as what the news is. And again, this was interesting too that Fed could cut interest rates 3 times this year. I thought that was strange. When I originally saw this, I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if we need 3 rate cuts. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they're calling for that we would need 3 rate cuts. I mean, it's not like our economy is going crazy. It's not like, I mean, we're kind of pretty high, right? I mean, all the numbers look good. Unemployment is looking okay. I mean, we're not seeing really any type of inflation. We're seeing less core inflation. Not sure why they think we're going to cut 3 times. I'm not sure what they're expecting, especially with a trade deal coming through and then potential other trade deals. Not sure why we would need to cut 3 times. Don't know. Who knows on that one? So I thought that was pretty interesting. All right. So, pattern trader, you got to do. I wonder why I gave you an internal server error. I don't know. That's weird. Try it again. Not sure why I got an error on that one. I'll make sure you're not though. So, anyway, so that's what we have going on. I'm testing out one of the new indicators. We just added another thing. So one of my biggest gripes with MT4 is obviously the localized time. The time at the bottom is never correct, and there's different. I've tried different indicators and things like that. Well, we just added one into the supply and demand. So tonight we'll kind of test that out a little bit. So if you guys see some numbers floating around, Pattern Trade has reached his limit, his winning limit. I don't think that's a thing. If it is, I think it's been long past. But anyway, so we're going to be testing a couple things out tonight. So with that being said, let's go over to the scanner. So, all right, birds, you need to stop. I'm gonna let you out, and if you're gonna start making noise, we're just gonna move you permanently to the hallway. I guess they want to come out. I guess they don't want to come out. I don't know. Come on, you wanna come out? Come on. No, you just want to bite my sweatshirt? Yeah, you're quiet now. One of them just took a bath, so there's like water all over the second desk, which is kind of funny. Come on. Come on. Come out. I'm not gonna be able to stand you guys. Come on. Come on. No? No? Okay. I was gonna let you out. All right. So it looks like that. We'll see how long before they have to go in the hallway because they're already getting a little bit crazy. Trying to catch up to you, double them. All right, so I have it currently set right now for daily 4 hour, 1 hour. We can switch it back and forth if we need to, but for the most part, we'll leave it for this one right now. Remember, and I mentioned this yesterday, and somebody asked me a question on it yesterday. They were asking, well, how am I using? Am I just using the supply and demand, or am I using the scanner? What am I doing with the curve? And remember, there's a lot of pairs, and you guys can see there's a lot of pairs up here, right? And I don't even have all of them, right? There are more pairs. But what I do is I use this as a scanning method. I can have 6, 8 little charts on the other thing, but it's hard to kind of keep track of everything. So it's an easy way for me to kind of say, hey, listen, I need to focus on this one. I need to focus on this one. I need to focus on this one. And I can actually build, one whole profile inside of there with just nothing but the setups. Like I can say, okay, I'm going to pull dollar yen down, pound dollar down, euro Swiss down. I can pull, CAD yen across. I can pull these two across, and then just look at those since I know those are setups and kind of see where those are approaching. That's one way to do it. Most times I end up just clicking through it. I'll kind of say, okay, listen, the euro looks like it's there. Let me go check these. If there's anything, I'll just set an alert. And remember, I have my MT4 to where if I set an alert, it sends me an email when my alert is broken, so I can get back to the computer. Because again, if I'm watching the baby or feeding her or something like that, I'm not in front of the computer. I want to know when we get to that, to an area. So I'm using that as my primary source still. If you guys have not used your free trial, I believe there's a week-long trial for the scanner. I don't know if it's based off of email or what it's based off of, but it may be off computer ID. I'm not sure, but if you guys haven't taken advantage of it, again, it's definitely worth getting, when we're talking about looking at a number of different pairs. So again, the link is at the bottom, that bit.ly/KTS scanner. Go out there, and that's just the webpage for it. You can go ahead and again, download the free trial of it, check it out, see if it's something that you can incorporate in your trading or not, especially when you get it for 7 days. So for nothing. All right. So where we are right now, again, dollar yen and pound dollar are both giving us setup situations. One of them is an uptrend, one of them is a downtrend situation. And again, they're matching, right? The dollar strength is driving the dollar yen higher. It's pulling back right now, hence giving us the uptrend setup. The pound dollar is a downtrend setup, meaning that it is pulling back up, showing dollar weakness, and is giving us a setup. And now actually New Zealand dollar also popped into that same situation. Interesting enough on that one, though, is we have the downtrend setup on the daily, the anchor break on the 4 hours, meaning it's going up, and then a downtrend setup on the 1 hour. So it's kind of, that one's, I don't know, maybe it's because of the kiwi prices, right? Kiwi fruit prices hit record high. So maybe that's what's going on with that one, right? I don't know. Looking across at the European basket, I mean, the only other thing that I think over here matters as much as the dollar CAD has given us this confirmed signal, which again is always a good thing. And again, we're popping back and forth. You guys can see this one now. It's not a setup, it's a confirm, meaning it must have popped back over the top of the anchor. So looking across the European basket for the most part, and again, scrolling up to the top, you guys can see we're down 6 for the day. For the most part, everything is kind of going up. The dollar is, the euro dollar is actually kind of in a sideways consolidation pattern. It has not passed the anchor. So again, it's not in that confirmed status. But yen has given us confirmed status. The Aussies have confirmed status, as well as the New Zealand has all given us that confirmed status. We have one anchor break, again, to the top side in Euro CAD. And I guess we looked at that on something else. And then the only thing that's, heading in the downward direction is Euro Swiss. And again, if Iran and if there's still missiles and things like that, or I guess they're rockets today, they're not missiles, they're rockets that were shot in Iran, then there's still going to be some issues over there, right? And again, that's why we're going to see a little bit of Swiss strength. Now look at the CAD basket. The CAD, for the most part, has been showing us a little bit of strength here. Now in this position, again, this is an anchor break to the top, so here's CAD weakness. Okay, here is CAD strength, right? Here is CAD weakness. Here is CAD strength. Here is CAD strength. Here is CAD strength. And here is CAD weakness. So a little bit mixed across the board, and I think a lot of that has to do with oil. I think this will stabilize itself tomorrow, but again, CAD yen is something we definitely want to look at. That's the easiest way for us to play the oil, oil in the U.S. market. Okay. Interesting enough, this your CAD one is going straight up across the board with the anchor break. So that'd be an interesting one. We will look at that. Like I said, now that we're going to use MT4, we have a lot more pairs and it's easier to kind of navigate between them. All right. Looking at the Aussie basket. So Aussie basket is interesting. Again, anchor breaks on the Aussie New Zealand as well as the Aussie Swiss. Okay, now this is up. Obviously, this because of the Swiss. The Swiss has a lot more strength going to it. That's what's kind of obviously breaking this one up. But again, you guys can see it's pretty much for the most part heading to the downside confirmed for Aussie Swiss, Aussie yen, and Aussie dollar. It only had about 8 pips worth of movement today, so we'll look at that one. But it's interesting that we do have 2 breaks in 2 different directions on that one. So pound basket. So pound basket, right? We have an uptrend setup, we have a downtrend setup, we have downtrend setup, and then we have an anchor break, which is a signal to go short. And again, that's against the Swiss. Swiss basically is an anchor break across everything because of the Swiss strength that came in today. And again, rockets, that's what happens. Shoot some rockets anywhere. They cross the border, it's making the Swiss go up. But pound yen, again, giving that uptrend setup. Down in the last hour, but again, it's up overall for the day, 19. So not really a huge amount, but we'll kind of check that one out as well. The closer we get, so the Brexit, it's not really a deadline now, but the Brexit kind of date is the end of January. So the deeper we go into January, the more pound movement we're going to see. Just because again, Brexit is getting closer and closer and closer, and it's supposed to be the end. And I don't believe there's any extension given. The last I heard, but I think the deadline is still the end of this month. Maybe I missed it, but I think it's still the end of this month. So I'm just kind of watching the movement there. Nothing else in there. So yeah. So again, as we get closer. All right. So with that said, let's go across to charts. Let me resource. All right. So we'll start from the very, very top. So Aussie dollar right now is just talked about this one. Aussie dollar is sideways down, so and that's on the daily. 4-hour sideways down confirmed. Again, this is Oana data, so it is slightly different than what we have over here on 4-hour. And again, you can see it's considered sideways, right? Sideways down confirmed. We got a little bit of a pullback right now. Only areas that we're looking for, again, this was that position that we saw last night. We talked about it. It was a downtrend setup. We talked about this zone. Actually, this is where we can test it now. Let's see. As you guys can see, right here, you can see at the very, very bottom, see where it says 21. We can go back and you guys can see I won't confuse you anymore. Instead of saying the 19 candle, I can say the 21 candle. If that makes it easier for you guys. But you can see last night we were sitting right in this zone right here, right? About the same time, okay? And we talked about this was not a bad drop. I like the way that this one formed. And it did actually come up and reset, and it got to about 2.5 to 1 before it started to retrace again. And then went back down to a 2 to 1, and then finally broke through the top and then kind of collapsed to the bottom. So had you traded this one, this would have probably been a stop with maybe a couple pips banked. Once you're 2 to 1, you guys should definitely have no risk left in the trade. But again, you guys can see when I hover over this again at 10 o'clock last night, actually, I guess right at midnight is when it would have actually triggered. Between 11:30 and 12 is when the actual trigger would have occurred for you guys. Again, you guys can see in the upper right-hand corner over here, we are in a downtrend setup off of a zone, and again, we collapsed to about 2.5 to 1 before we came back up, retested, and then this kind of news candle before collapsing all the way down. So again, probably got stopped out for a few pips, or maybe you took it a little bit early. It's entirely up to you guys. But again, nice little grab on this one. If you had taken a Nadex position, again, you may have gotten yourself out of this. Wasn't a gigantic drop, and when you're talking, it's only about 15 pips on here. So even in a 2-hour time, I don't think it would have been enough. Again, very, very small risk on this one, very, very small gain. Again, you still had that 3 to 1 risk reward ratio, and that's what really matters. Okay, not a bad little. I mean, if you could have grabbed 10, 15 pips out of this one in the overnight on 4 or 5 pips risk, why not take it? It was just a small zone. Again, consolidation, sideways movement. That's all you're going to do. So right now, it does show that we have a zone up here. At this point, I'm probably going to let this one rest. This zone, if you look back, I mean, again, it's been kind of in this area for quite some time. Again, it's hit it here, went higher, kind of came lower, kind of raced across here. So it's getting to the point now where it's not so clean anymore. really what I'm looking for right now is I'm pretty much at this point, I'm looking for this upper area. If you guys can see this on the chart, you're looking at 69.16 is kind of the proximal zone to the top side that I'm looking for. And then likewise on the bottom, I'm looking for buys down here at 68.77. Okay, so kind of this top and bottom on the 30-minute is really what I'm looking for at this point. All right. And again, on the 4 hour, again, we can see that the 4 hour is basically it's an uptrend. There's really just nothing going on right now. Again, rock and a hard place between these two zones. All right. Let's go across and let's look at Aussie New Zealand. Okay, so Aussie New Zealand, you guys can see, I'll go back up to the 4 hour. You can see we talked about being, actually, I think this was off the daily. No, I guess it was a 4 hour. We talked about basically a lot of space back and forth in here, right? Let's delete this now. Actually, basically we were talking about, we blocked off the entire area. So as you can see right now, we're obviously, it's considered an uptrend, right? We are going into an uptrend and we are kind of messing around with the very, very top part of this zone, okay? Had you use this bottom section, we did have this pullback to here, right? It came up and then pushed down, and then again, we lost the signal right here after kind of the entry. And again, this gap kind of messed up a little bit of this retraced. But again, you were about, wasn't the strongest piece. The top piece was always definitely the much higher piece on this one. That's where we're sitting right now. If you're looking to get into some type of short, this one has about 11 pips risk in it to the top side. It's kind of pushed into here a little bit. I don't know if I love it as an actual entry. As you can see, I mean, this is on the 4 hour, so it is a larger zone. A 4 hour zone that is only, again, we talk about making zones smaller. Only risking 11 pips on a 4 hour zone is not really a bad way to do things. And you can see, large push down, large push all the way back up, and it's running into that same area where it had problems here, and I had a lot of problems here, and it just started to flirt, and it went higher, but now we're putting in a lower high, lower high, lower high. So again, Aussie New Zealand is potential setup, right? Now, if you're going to set a 3-to-1 on this one, let me actually let's drop this down so I can make this a little bit cleaner, right? Set up on, let's go ahead. Get rid of that. Okay, let's go back up to the 4 hour. So now it's clean. You can see that there. Let's set up our fib properties here. So that's kind of giving you more or less your 3-to-1 risk reward ratio, right? Not too bad, actually, if you think about that. That 3-to-1 is right where the start of this move was. That's the absolute perfect target of where we would have placed it anyway, and it just happens to coincide with the 3-to-1. Your 5-to-1 is down here in the middle of this kind of gap candle, which is, again, not a bad place, right? It closed here, gapped all the way down, and then rode all the way back up again. So not a bad place for, a 5-to-1 position there either. So again, the entry on this one is just above where we are. So, I mean, we're super close to it. It's moved a little bit out of it, but the entry would have been 104.39 to 104.49. So about 10 pips risk sitting in that one. Okay. Yeah, the wicks will be. And again, I don't really. Are you talking about the wicks inside of the red here? Unfortunately, it's one of those things. It's like I can pick 12 different colors, but yeah. Or are you talking about these wicks? I don't think I make it big. I don't think it matters one way or the other. Like I said, I can change this color. But I don't even know what color I would change it to make it easy. You know what? Let me see if I can make it a lighter pink and see if we can see through it. Is that better? Can you guys see those? Kind of hate the light pink, but all wicks. Yeah, I can't really help you on that one. I can try to put a white. I'll try tomorrow to put a white template together and see if you tell me again. Like I said, this is much better in that situation. I can see them on both screens, but you guys are trading on like these little Mac computers. Much better here. Selecting draw object. Yeah, this is so bright. Hold on, what was it? I thought I already had that set, didn't I? Objects are you talking about? See, this is the only objects I have. I can't believe they are part of the background. You want them not part of the background? I don't know what you're saying. You can make the blocks see-through by unselecting draw object as background. Yeah, I didn't select it here. I think you're talking about like this. You're talking about like this. Like this. Is that what you're talking about? Ever monitors what? You guys are trading on Macs. You guys are trading on little like iPads. I can't help you. Well, I don't know about the indicator, but when you draw the box. Yeah, and it basically just circles it. Yeah, what I'm trying to do is highlight it. Actually, my favorite color was always white. Um, inside of here, when you go to white, because then it like makes it like pop out. That was always my favorite. Come on, bird, stop. So white to me always seemed like it was the best because like it really just made it pop out and like open it up. But yeah, remember, guys, you should be doing this work on your computer. You shouldn't be using my computer to do it. All right. There's always someone's always going to be unhappy. There's nothing I can do about that. But anyway, that's what we're looking for on this one. And again, all our draws are going to be missing now. So again, this would drive me nuts. You can't read the numbers. I can barely read the numbers right now. Problems with this one. Said you should have your charts up. You should be fine in the same zone. You should be drawing it on your own charts. Right? On the Mac, I can't support you. I'm sorry. All right, so that's Aussie, New Zealand. All right. Again, that was a 4-hour setup over there. Going across to this guy. Okay, so let's kind of coming back through and kind of overtaking. And again, that's kind of where we are right now. You can see we had that one little zone that we drew here. Okay, so the red box is the one that the indicator drew. I drew the two gray boxes that I actually preferred those two areas. You can see we ended up getting front run. Okay, the position was front run. It did start to go back to the downside. It hasn't pushed that far to the downside. What are you doing? Why are you trying to be mean? What? Here. The bird's angry. Took a bath and now she's angry. Or he's angry. What? Like sitting on my sweatshirt and she's trying to like chew a hole through it. What are you doing? Get you an apple, you'll be happy. And she puts her feathers up on the back of her neck. I'm like, okay, you can be angry, but I'm the one that feeds you. Um, So this one kind of has, it may have already left the table. Again, very, very high in the curve. Definitely looking for a short. This is on the 4-hour. And you can see, we're up in this uptrend confirmed and running into a big area of supply. So this one may have left the station. We may not be able to grab this one anymore. But again, I'm still going to hold those two zones. If we do get some type of pop in this one, really any type of pop back up into those zones, then I'd be looking to short again. But at this point, I think it may just continue to grind to the downside. I don't know how much it'll grab in here or here. And even if it does, let's see how much room we got. It's about 60 pips. So yeah, maybe if we get a turning here and then we come up very, very cleanly, it would wipe this area of kind of indecision back, wipe it out. And that may actually be maybe a potential trade. But right now, I'm not going to get short this position. It's already moved a little bit too far. Okay. He's not a fan of TV. If I see, he's a fan of TV. What are you talking about? All right, so that's what we got going on here. Let's jump over and look at Aussie CAD. Let's see. Aussie CAD, as you guys can see, we were running into this level here. This is the gap, right? You guys can see it wasn't this from this weekend, but this was another gap, and you can see we pushed up, pushed back down. This should be on the 30-minute. I got to make sure that I mark those off. All these things to kind of get it charts set. All right, so you guys can see again, kind of bouncing back and forth. Now, here's what I'm thinking about on this one: is we have a lower high, This one is basically staying flat, but we're sitting in there and we're playing within a basically 15, 16 pip area. Really just not enough for me. Even on the 1 hour, really, again, here's that gap that we talked about. This is the much better position space right here. So really not really interested in trading it right now. So Aussie CAD, there's not really many setups. Aussie CAD was marked sideways down, consolidating anyway. Aussie Swiss was the anchor break to this top side on the daily. You can see, wait, was this one it? Yeah. It was actually breaking below. So this one hasn't caught up yet. Obviously, the ON data is slightly different. Basically, what it's saying is this red is just slightly below the screen to the downside. So it's an anchor break, which is a short position. Now, there is demand below here. Again, it's not showing it on the daily right here, but you are seeing some demand inside of this area. That's what we got this last little spike off to the right-hand side. Okay, you guys can see if we look to here, look to the left, and this is what we are running into. So it's an anchor break, but I don't think we're going to have continued Swiss strength. So I do believe this one will probably retrace up, but it's not really necessarily the cleanest bottom. The wicks are not really great, and I don't really love too much in this one. Again, looking at the 4 hour, you can see the 4 hour. There's it's marking off that zone on the bottom, and it's really marking the zone kind of up top. I would probably move it back over to here, not necessarily this zone, even though this had nice movement. This was just a confirmation of this zone over here. So we're kind of at the 50% mark right in the middle, and even at a level of basing, not really interested in anything. And tomorrow, I think we would be a bit bullish on this. Looking at Aussie Singapore, which is not even on the other list. This one is just back and forth, completely sideways. That's on the 30 minute. Here's the 4 hour. Again, what are we doing? Rocking a hard place back and forth. So no trend on this one. We move on. So next thing, let's go across and look at Canadian dollar. First things first, the CAD yen. CAD yen still pushed up, okay? As you guys can see, for the day, it was down slightly, but we're still in this kind of uptrend of things. Looking at the 4 hour, see what we got here. It's given us an uptrend setup based off the daily right now. Back to the daily and see what we have sitting above. Yeah, this is this funky candle that I absolutely hate over here. Did we break through the top? Yeah, we're messing with this candle right now. Much to the top side. Um, Problem is, so you guys can see how it just turned that whole area green, even though this whole area is not green, showing me where the actual setup was. Time in there. Now this one is lower than this. This one is lower than is. No, I think we're in an uptrend setup. I'm going to see if we can get another kind of pushback. Maybe we will get a failure to go higher type kind of draw, in which case the draw would go off. We can get some type of a pullback down to this level here, back up again. That could be a nice little short for tomorrow morning going in. But you guys should be able to tell what the area is based off of this kind of this red candle right here. Okay, this red kind of pull down based off the green. Okay, that's where you would draw it. All right. So again, that would be for tomorrow morning. Looking at CAD Swiss 4 hour. All right, so we're still sitting down where we were last night. Now this zone down here, this demand zone. Let's shrink this. As you guys can see, it spent a lot of time staying away from this area. Pushed here, pushed here, pushed here. We're finally starting to enter the area. Now, it's an all right area. I mean, again, if you guys look here, you can see a lot of green coming out of that zone. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Right? You can see this pullback, and it moved a lot. I mean, this was definitely the start of kind of a full reversal to the top side, right? It held its ground and pushed higher. So definitely not a bad little area. Now, question is, would I be willing to take a short? Probably not. I don't think I'm ready to take it long yet either in this case. It's a 22 pip range, and again, it's putting it's CAD and Swiss. So I do believe that the Swiss will weaken tomorrow, and I do believe that will want to drive this higher. But the problem is then we're also playing with the oil news tomorrow morning. And if they miss the oil news, then it'd be like, oh my God, we can't get out of our own way here. Um, you know, if oil's bad, this is going to want to go down. Yeah, I think it's going to want to go naturally up tomorrow anyway when any of the fears with Iran actually subside. As long as there's no more rockets tomorrow, I see the Swiss weakness coming back into the market as the risk goes off again, which would also drive this right back up. So a lot of different fundamental reasons why this one was probably not the best one to play tomorrow. And again, we may want to see what it looks like before news tomorrow. Again, we could potentially play it for oil first, and then again, oil may kind of completely bow into the lessening of basically the risk in the world. Okay. So that's the two CAD pairs. Let's jump over to the Swiss pair. And again, all the Swiss pairs are basically, you guys can see right here. Again, it pulled back a little bit, but again, it's just been pushing up, 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 up. We mentioned before we have a demand zone sitting right above that we really like, and that's at 114.10. JLC, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. So if we can get up in this range, then we're definitely looking to take some type of a short. Again, it's had this big rally up. Again, any type of fear subside, this thing is going to turn and flip back to the downside. So we are an uptrend confirmed, getting close to a level, and it looks like we are only about 45 pips. We're only 45 pips from that range. It does have a daily ATR. I don't know if you guys can see it up here in the upper left-hand corner. It does have a daily ATR of 67. So we're less than one ATR, only about 75% of an ATR to get up into this range to start selling this thing. And again, right now it's setting up where we got a pretty nice follow we can take in this one. So I'm definitely liking this. And again, we can get some yen strength out of this too. So again, Swiss weakening, yen strength, we could definitely get this to turn and flip. Close. Again, if you guys don't have this one marked off, what I would do is I would definitely I would put myself at an alert. Probably put yourself at an alert at 114. Okay, 114 is a round number. You'll be able to kind of get into that one ahead of time. Like I said, the zone doesn't kick in actually until really 114.10. So that gives yourself basically a 10 pip buffer, with movement. But set yourself an alert on whatever platform that you are using. Again, if you're using MT4, it's just at the bottom. You'll see an alert section. Just put it in there for when it breaks that level. That's a nice little area for us to start getting short in this position. Okay, and that would be the one pair. So let's jump over and look at the European pair. So there's a bunch of these different European pairs in here. He's not a fan of this. So funny. So I'm gonna have to build white charts tomorrow. And again, I do have kind of a base anyway, but I'm gonna have to build white charts tomorrow because Lindo's old eyes can't see the way. It's awesome. Uh, he's used to those like big, bold white colors and stuff from, I it's what it is. Um, you'll see. You'll trade on black charts eventually. All right, so where we are, again, a lot of basing sideways on this one. Going up to the 4-hour, you guys can see here. The 4-hour trend state right now is sideways. And again, let me bring this back in again so you guys can see it. Here's where the current, again, with the scanner, we are seeing that for this one, we have this sideways up, down, sideways up, right? So again, we don't even have a confirmed trend. All that is doing is consolidating. And again, you can see that, right? Looking at this one on the daily, what do we have? Do we have a trend here? It took a bounce off this lower level, right, for the last 3 days, and then just kind of has stopped. Now we're getting lower highs, higher lows, and we're starting to form that little kind of type of a wedge, And again, we mentioned this yesterday. We're only talking about a range. I mean, the range is about 106, so it's not a bad range, right? But that's where we took the bounce off of was daily demand. We went up, we hit, formed new daily supply. It came back down, it retested, it went all the way back down, and now we're stuck. It looks like the momentum has kind of been sucked out of it. What I could see happening, what could act as a catalyst for this one, is if we react tomorrow and say, hey, we're going to keep those tariffs on too until they take them off, which would make complete sense, right? Or we just say, okay, we're going to put all the tariffs back on, everything. Full blown, let's just do it. If you want to play games, then let's go, which would definitely affect this position, and that would bump us out of this range as well. I'm trying to think, based off this chart now, again, this pullback was not as high. So we have kind of a low here, a low here, a low here, and a low here. Okay, we need to get this one to push a little bit higher. As long as we don't break this low, again, I think this one will continue to move to the upside. And again, that's dollar weakness, but um, eh, eh, we'll see. Mentioning that we could have three cuts for the year. If anybody confirms that or mentions weakness tomorrow, that would definitely send this thing higher. All right. I gotta get Google Cast on my 60 inches. Should be looking on your charts at the same time, James. Two monitors. Two monitors. All right. Dropping this down to a 4-hour. Okay, you can kind of see a little bit more what we're looking at again. Here is that daily base. It came down and touched it and is now pulled back again. Um, the only thing that I like in this one is I do like how we kind of had the decline here, although I don't like this little piece behind. This is also not bad. You guys can see there is a wick over wick here, and that's kind of what it flaunted with when it came up in this area. We did have that downtrend setup, right? I don't know if anybody caught this one, but here's the wick over wick right here. Here we were in a downtrend setup, and you guys can see the downtrend setup bounced right off of this zone, okay, and then continued to push to the downside. So, again, this is on the 4-hour. I know some of you guys check the 4-hour. I know not everybody. Put that there. Oops, let me get this one out. That so you guys can see it. Over wick, and you guys can see not only did it come up in a downtrend setup, but it also came down and hit our 3-to-1 risk reward ratio. So there was that one. That was the best kind of setup that we had in the euro today. So even though it was very, very small movement, that was the only thing that you could have found. And again, 4 hours. So we're talking, that was actually, I guess that was last night actually. Oh, not that one. This one. Yeah, I guess it actually traded yesterday. Yeah, because we're right here. We are right here at the 21, and there's the 21 in this piece right here. So yeah, I guess we mentioned that last night. But yeah, so that one ended up completing today. I didn't put this one on last night. So yeah, there we go. That was the last night one that you guys could have grabbed. Right now, again, consolidating. 4-hour, don't see anything that I love in it. Again, it popped down and popped right back up again, and now we're flat. So we'll see what the news brings tomorrow in that pair. Looking at the dollar or euro CAD on the 30-minute. We'll bring this up to the 4-hour. So on the 4-hour, I mentioned this area that we had some basing in here. And again, price had hit it. It actually did go higher than this area. Again, not a bad little kind of drop sideways and drop to the downside. And again, bunch of movement back and forth again. It's pulling back and it's actually turning when there's nothing. So, kind of a funky little area. This is just super, super ugly. It's basically a lot of wick, couple small bodies, nothing that stands or screams there. This is kind of, again, looking to the left. I dropped down to a 1-hour so we can get a little bit better of an idea. Here's what that area looks like. There we go. Not really like any strong movement off of here, right? Not clean. Like this, clean drop. This, not so much of a clean drop. So for me, this was definitely a no trade today. And even looking at the top and bottom, this is not bad. We had the red, green, red confirmation that pushed us back down. It did run into this little wick over wick. It hit before the actual zone, but wouldn't say that these are clean. So for me, I'm not really looking at either of these two zones, even though they're marked off. I don't see anything clean looking up and to the left. Looking into here, I don't really see much. This area is not bad. We're at the upper range. Looking down, like I said, this one, not super clean. It came back. Here was where the gap started. It came back and touched that same area. Here's a wick. I think I'm holding off till down here. Okay, so for me, what I'm doing is I'm looking top and bottom on this one. I'm looking at 144.64, and then to the top side of 146.16. I'm going to have some patience and wait till we go top or bottom before I start to get on either of these two. And again, that's on an hourly chart. So we got some room to run. But besides that, nothing really super clean that screams, hey, listen, we have a lot of buyers and sellers in here. And again, we're focusing on a lot of pairs now. So Euro Swiss. So as you can see, again, looking on the daily, big day down. Why was it a big day down? Obviously, the Swiss had, some power coming into it. And again, looking at the chart here, you guys can see big push down. Now we are pulling back, so we are in a downtrend setup based off of the 4-hour and the daily. There is a little single wick right here, right? Sitting in this area. If you guys can see that, okay. Right in there is about the only little area that I could see is getting into a pattern. But one thing you guys do have to watch out for, and you saw it on the daily, is we have an area supply, or area demand down here, starting at 107.08, okay? I don't know if we can see this one or not. Yeah, we can. You guys can see that area comes from a gap, okay? That's going to be a nice little gap. It's very, very clean. It never came back and retested it. It's taken a long time for it to fill it. So, again, an area that we definitely have to be respectful of to the downside. Now, from where current price is, even though it is pulling back right now, you're only talking about 50 pips. Its daily is about 40 pips, so it needs a little bit of a pullback if we do get a pullback to that wick over wick that you can see over here on the 4-hour, which is this little drop right here. We may be able to see on the 1 hour. Let me see. Hold on. Kind of. It actually looks like it's a little bit higher on the 1 hour. The 1 hour makes it look like we have it here, showing that it's more there. Well, I guess there's a little wick over wick. So right about there. Okay. It's close enough, yeah. But yeah, so that'd be the pullback area if you wanted to take this in a continuation short to the downside. And it would end up being about 60 pip runner from basically coming up, grabbing it, and then 60 pips to the demand zone. Again, we can't see it on the 4 hour, but you guys can see it right here. $72 pips. So you got some room, all right? All right, so that would be Euro Swiss. Let's look at a pound. Not blazing today, right? Here it is on the daily. As you had this area, we had a downtrend set up. It was looking to grab some more. That's where we're at. It ended up pulling away. Actually, here we'll click time. You guys can see right here where current price is. We are at the 17. There on the daily. I'm actually sorry. I wanted to go to 4 hour. You guys can see we ended up tagging into that zone just a bit ago, right? There was our 12 o'clock last night, or 12 o'clock yesterday. 1, 2, 3. That's where we're close. We ended up hitting that zone and pulling away from it on the 4 hour. And again, that's giving you this is actually giving you an uptrend setup, but again, it's an uptrend setup into an area of supply, which signal itself. Okay. The two indicators are not linked, so you're not gonna see that on there. It's giving you that uptrend setup right now. Okay, but again, not going long. It bounced off a supply zone. It is pulling back to the downside. It did hit a 3-to-1. If anybody took this position, by the way, to the downside. Now, areas that we could run into. We do have this small area here. This is the actual gap from the weekend. If I bring it back over here, you guys are able to see it. Okay, that's where the gap is. So definitely got to be respectful of that. You guys can see that it's drawing the zone here. The zone actually started back over here. Okay, it started in this area. You guys can see it. These bottoms are bouncing off of this base. And this is the last time we had this nice push up, right? These candles in here, this pop, 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 all came right off of this level of basing. And that's exactly what we ran into again. So the way that this is hit and hit again, if it comes through again, I do believe this zone is probably going to be hit. There is going to be a little bit of an area here, but again, I'm looking for longs potentially stepping in over here at 85.16. For me, that's basically all I got for euro pound. That's what kind of I'm looking for on this one. But again, you guys can see this was a nice little kind of snag here off of this zone up top. And again, this zone was proven to be nice based off of this test of that zone, right? Got front run right off of there, so we knew there were some sellers. Again, hit there and drop to the downside. All right. That's euro pound. Let's go across and look at euro yen. So euro yen, looking at this one on the 4 hour, you can see this one kind of the same setup, right? We had an area supply up top. It was giving this as uptrend setup. It wanted to go up in there, got front run, pulled back, and then really hasn't done much, right? Here's the, looking 6 candles back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are slightly lower than where we were. We did drive down. We did drive back up again, and then we drove right back down to where the push was. So, not really a whole lot. I mean, I wouldn't say that this one was a great trader today. Like I said, this one for me is few and far between. I don't get many trades on this one. They're there, but I never seem like I can catch them. Right now, again, if we can get back up in the zone, I'll see what the entry looks like for a potential short. Besides that, I don't really see much in here that's going to slow us down. I think there'll be a little bit of a bump here, a little bit of a bump here, but I think this one is probably going to come back down to the lower end of this curve, down in the 120.50 range, and that's when I'd be looking more for probably some type of a long position. We're at 122.32 right now, so I mean we're talking about 80 pips to the downside. This one only has a 74 pip ATR, so it's going to require more than 1 day's worth of movement. Something's probably going to happen, or it's going to have to slow grind to the downside before we can actually get to those positions. But uh, like I said, we have this wick a little bit higher. I don't really see anything super, super clean until we get up here. So we kind of got some movement. We need some, something to really kind of move around. You can see how little. All right, so that's euro yen. And by the way, the euro yen is again telling us that it's an uptrend setup, but again, it's an uptrend setup into an area of supply. So cautious with that one. Euro New Zealand, kind of the same situation. We are pulling up. It did breach the zone right here. Looking at this one on the 4 hour, I don't really love much with it because this zone is definitely higher than this zone. So we're already talking about coming, basically moving up into this 168.90 area. We need this thing to move about 70 pips before it's within range of getting into a very, very clean short on the 4 hour. Looking on the daily, we can see that it's an 88 pip ATR. Okay. So we know that it's got to basically put almost an entire day worth of work in. And looking at Forex Factory, does anything look like it is blazing its ATRs right now? The answer is no. So I'm afraid that we may have a little bit of like I said, maybe having a little bit of a problem being able to get up there on that one. Okay. So nothing on this one. And again, Kiwi price at all-time highs, right? I don't trade that pair that often anyway. So okay. Well, this was another 4 hour trade based off of this wick dollar. Price came up. Oh wait, I feel like we. I don't know. I talked to somebody about euro dollar. Um, Am I using 4 hour, 1 hour 15, or 4 hour 15.5 for your time frames? I'll do all of them. I don't use 15 too much on MetaTrader. I typically, again, a lot of that depends on how much movement we're having for the day. When it's a slow moving day, I end up using I can use more of the daily and the 4 hour. Like when I can get a 4 hour, supplier demand zone that's only, 10 to 15, I don't drop any lower because the 10 to 15 on the 4 hour is fine. A lot of times if I have to go lower, it's getting smaller and smaller. I tend not to go much lower than the 30, but you could technically if you need to. Like I said, we haven't had as much movement lately. A lot of the volatility has been sucked out of the currency market. So, when you're getting, 10, 12 pip risk on a 30-minute, I don't drop into the fives. Okay. West comes in and he's getting picked on. Crazy. But anyway, guys, here, same thing you guys can see. It was a downtrend setup into a wick over wick. Again, the wick over wick is not picked up because those are a little bit more advanced. Downtrend setup, right into that wick over wick, shorted, hit our 3-to-1 risk reward ratio, and then ended up turning around. So that was a trade that actually triggered and satisfied today did it this morning. Happened about 9 a.m. this morning is when. Now, if it does pop up into that area again, I'd probably be willing to take another short. It barely breached that zone. It kind of got in there just very, very bit. We're not obviously in the downtrend setup situation. If it does pop, it may actually give us the setup again. But I don't think that's too bad of a trade. Like I said, pretty clean wick over wick. Proved to us that there are sellers there. It tried to make another temp and didn't even go as high. So sellers are definitely stopping, price down when it gets to this area. We've already pushed lower, so the next one actually may go down to the 5-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Probably not a bad little trade if that one comes through. All right. That's what I got for that one. Again, waiting for this one to trigger. And if you guys can't see it already, it is at 111.44 to 111.54, that 10 pip range up there. So again, that was an easy 31 right there. In this first short already. All right, so yeah, so you're good. Hopefully you got short when it popped back up again, not from up here, and then it came up against you. But yeah, so there's 30 in that one. All right. If you're already short, good. I think you're okay on that one. And then last but not least, let's go to Singapore. Same thing. I would ignore this one right here. This is the close one. I would ignore this. This is a cleaner zone. If you're looking to trade this one, I'd be 150.25 to 150. Downside. I don't know that I'd use this zone again. Okay, we touched it here, and then we went all the way down into, because you can't see the wick, we went all the way to the very, very bottom, probably the last 10, 15%. I think this one will probably, most likely, I think this one will fail probably the next attempt. Um, yeah, I think it'll probably fail the next attempt. So yeah, definitely top side, I'm good. Again, I would not use this one here. It's just not enough good enough zone for me. 4 hour. See how deeply it drove into that zone. Yeah, I don't like the technical setup on this one. All right, so move on. That was euro. Let's go down to pound. Start off with pound yen. All right, so pound yen was actually sitting inside of a little bit of a zone here. It's kind of one of those things. It's been up there before. It actually pushed a little bit higher. I don't know if I would quite call it the best entry. It is obviously positive right now. I would probably hold off and go a little bit higher in this area. And again, this would be a wick on top of a wick type situation. Or, I'm sorry, a zone on top of a zone. So I'd probably actually use the indicator one on this one, although this would be a little bit more aggressive. Most likely looking for entries at 144.02 to 144 kind of 30, that 30 pip range right there. Now again, 30 may be a bit much for you, so we could actually drop it down. I do believe that this demand zone is still very, very valid. This red candle barely touched and came over here at 141.20 down to 140.85. 82, sorry, 82. So again, another 30 pip range to the bottom. I do like those top and bottom if we can, again, get out of this middle area and spike up or down. I do think both those are very valid areas. Looking at the 30-minute, not as much. I mean, it's not a horrible area. You're talking about 10 pips risk in there. Problem with this one is that it definitely pulled away from there, and now it's just really kind of just flatline and based. Looking back at what that hit, kind of this area, it was a very fast. It spiked all the way down here and then came back up and retested the area a second time. But again, it drove all the way up to this area, all the way up to the top. So again, it's a lower quality zone because it was pierced about 90% of the way through its range. So yeah, I think I'd hold off top and bottom on this one. Just be a bit more conservative. This bottom is just ugly. The top is a little bit nicer, but the bottom, again, like I said, this one, I'll tell them this one as we get closer. That's pound yen, pound CAD. That was from the weekend. And again, that's the only thing that is showing right now. Price is obviously in an uptrend setup. It is pulling back, but there's nothing really super clean in here. This is pretty ugly. Large body. I mean, it's nice seeing large bodies, but it's large body followed by a long wick, and then a large body followed by a long wick. So really nothing, not really a clear, pullback in any of these positions. Lower time frame. Again, I think I would be holding off for this top section. Again, if you want to use the wick or use the gap because it barely got breached, that would be at 170.42. And then downside, we'd be looking at 169.30. Okay, those two supply and demand zones are probably what we're looking for right now. Even a pullback, there's just nothing in here. This has just been a grind up and down. So again, holding off for those two. Set your alerts for the pound CAD, pound New Zealand. Pulling up into a zone, but it's not really a great zone. This just gets ugly in here. It's like lost. It's just exhausted. Yeah, there's nothing going on with this guy. It's pound New Zealand. Let's go across the pound dollar. All right, so pound dollar on the 4 hour. You can see this one literally just ran away, never came back, never retested, never did much with it. As you can see on the daily, I mentioned before, this kind of white box is, again, this white box is where the actual zone is. There was a smaller zone that pulled into that white box. We got close today, got front run, and it didn't quite reach it. Looking down at the 4 hour, we can see how close we actually got. And again, very sloppier here, but again, very, very clear when we talk about what we saw on the 4 hour. Okay, that's that kind of the pullback area. So, it got close. We missed it. It is pulling back up. If we can get a bit higher, then I'd potentially be looking to sell to short this one. If we can get back up, most likely into probably here. What are we talking? This is at 130.70, right? That wouldn't be a bad little area. If we do a little bit of base here and then pop up, that could be a nice little short to take that right back down to this area. Kind of pop up and then kind of roll over back to the downside. I think that's definitely possible. Be a little bit of pound strength and then obviously some yen strength stepping in and driving that back to the downside. So not taking off where we are because it's just too close to the gap. Maybe wait for this one to go a bit higher. And like I said, this one, its daily ATR is 102, and you can see for the day we had 25 pips. So very, very small bits of movement on this one, just not really enough to get us going. All right. Hold on. Ooh. Oh, that's too much to read. Ready here. Okay. I have a meeting as soon as we're done tonight with the developer. He just sent like a list of what do I got? 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, E, F, and then 4. So a lot of questions to go over tonight. We're trying our best to get the indicator released by Friday, so we'll see. But yeah, so again, this one obviously 102 pip ATR. We had 25 pips of movement today. So again, a lot of consolidation back and forth. Not a lot of movement. Not a lot of trading opportunity in this one right now. Wait till it goes higher to sell, or let's see what it does when it gets back down to this lower level at pound dollar. Pound Aussie. Pound Aussie is kind of a similar kind of chart. Again, we have stuff up top, a little bit down bottom. And really, I wouldn't take this first one. I'd be looking probably those are tickling this right here. That's kind of these pieces right here are all started off of this zone right here. Okay. Honestly, I don't really love any of those in that. Into this one. I mean, the problem with so I like the reaction off of this one, this area here. I like the reaction off of this. I like that this came up and tested and dropped. I like that it tested again and dropped even more. I like how much it dropped off of that one. So it's showing me that there are sellers up in this range, but it's been a lot of time there. I mean, it's good that these two didn't go as high, but it's been a lot of time there. So, this one is marked as what right now? This is marked as a sideways, just kind of upward biased on the daily. So again, yeah, yeah, it hasn't. It's got to move a bit farther. It almost looks like it wants to reverse, but it's reversing into two areas of demand. So not really a trade setup that we're looking for tonight. So let's just skip it. Pound Swiss. On the 30 minute, you can see this one just basically went flat, right? Just really not a whole lot there. Okay, we had those two trade setups from before, and that was it. So nothing sitting in that one. Let's go down to New Zealand. Let's look at New Zealand CAD. New Zealand CAD on the 4 hour. You guys can see again, we're sitting in area demand right now, but not a whole lot of movement from the demand to the supply zone. We're only talking about 23 pips, so really not necessarily enough for us to trade in there. It's given us sideways on the daily as well. You can see that it just basically many days. This is days, by the way. We went back up to a daily. Many, many days of just sideways inside of the same area that is literally 28 pips. So not enough really going on with pound CAD. Pound dollar, we are sitting right now in, this is the 30 minute. You're seeing a 30-minute demand area. We're seeing it right now, although it pierced to here and then pierced back just a little bit higher, and it looks like it wants to push back again. So it looks like it's starting to eat all the orders up in this zone. Not too much, nothing really, really super clear that I would say, hey, listen, I love that as an entry. Yeah, I don't know that I like too much on that one. Where are we gonna think better? Not really. I like this area up top. This is the only thing. This zone that kind of went across and then came up and retested. This zone is, come on, bird, move. We're looking at what? 6670 to 6680. That's not a bad little 4-hour zone. Again, 10 pip risk on a 4-hour. I'll take it. We got to see what the entry is looking like. This has gone too deep. I believe this is going to break. Next zone would obviously be down here at 65.65 to 65.54. Okay, and again, not a bad little kind of reversal, and then up, and then just obviously that was the holding point for this entire piece. Don't worry about much lower on that one. On the daily, you guys can see what it came off of. It's explaining why it's pushing back to the downside. So, um, and again, none of these are really great pullbacks. All right, so that's what we see on that one. Let's see. Aussie yen. No, this one's all over the place. Set the indicator. Probably not a bad area. I mean, we're in a downtrend setup right now. For a second ago. Thought it just let up on me. I guess. It appears too low. I don't think we're gonna do much with this one. On the 4-hour, we have supply sitting right above. So yeah, this may be an uptrend setup pulling back right now. Okay, you guys can see right now with the yellow candles. You know, it gave us this impulse, the corrective move, the impulse back up again, and then again. But this wasn't a bad little kind of basing level, right? We had a nice pop, nice sideways, nice pop. So when this was in a down or an uptrend setup, it came back and grabbed this box here, right? Fortunately, there's not another nice kind of push, right? There's no big green bodied candle in this zone here. So I don't think you take this one either. And again, this would have been the trade right here. Okay. In this downtrend setup. But again, we don't have a similar situation with a large explosive candle. Without that explosive candle, kind of hurts a little bit. You know, again, taking a little bit more risk. And again, there's other positions out there right now. New Zealand Swiss, I'm not going to look at that one. And then let's go over to the dollar pairs. Dollar yen. Okay, dollar yen is sitting inside of a demand zone. Okay, we're technically in a downtrend setup, but we are sitting right on a level of demand. Okay, that demand was formed by this nice move. Again, very large spike down. Again, this was a parabolic tracement to the downside, and then again retraced all the way back up again within basically within 2 hours. We were all the way back up again. Something turned it around again. It's been turned around again. It looks like because it's been pierced lower, we will try to attempt to go lower. Let's look at this on the 4-hour. Kind of the same thing. It's a 4-hour demand zone. So again, downtrend setup, but I'm not really interested in shorting it into that demand zone. Again, here on the daily, you can see we have a little bit more room to run. I would actually, again, I'm not into shorting this one. I would actually be somewhat curious to take maybe even like an 8x binary in this one. Take this one long. Again, bringing some dollar strength back into this market is going to do the exact opposite of what it did the last 2 days. I can see this one going back up again. And again, that could be the Iran kind of basically the Iran kind of fear, right? Coming out of the market would again send this higher. Any type of dollar strength or strong dollar movements, again, sends this more to the top side. Again, if one of the FOMC peoples tomorrow said UBS is crazy, we're not cutting rates 3 times this year, again, that would bring in dollar strength, and again, that would push us a bit higher as well. So a lot of things are telling us that we would go, this one is a go higher situation. The 4-hour range here is only about 15 pips risk, 16 pips risk. If you were looking to put a short position in, again, you're looking to get your 3 to 1 here. Okay, 3 to 1 is about 70% up, and again, your 5 to 1 is sitting right inside the top of that, right inside of the middle of that demand zone on the complete other side. So, not necessarily a bad little trade setup in there if you were looking to take it. You know what? Actually, let me change this. No, it doesn't matter. I can put it on. You know what? I will. We'll make sure you can see it on those 2 time frames only. Okay. All right. So that would be dollar Swiss, dollar CAD. So dollar CAD will be in play tomorrow. You can see we kind of have an area below. Unfortunately, when we rally back up again, there's really not a whole lot here on the 30-minute. On the 4-hour, it's kind of the same thing. You can see some consolidation. We had this one little, again, this one didn't get picked up. And we could put it there. That's not a bad little area. No, gotta mark up the top. Hold on. See, let's go to the bottom of the body.
Now we're gonna have to go to that body. All right, so that brings us probably to the best situation. That zone on my chart is 131.02 to 131.20, so about a 20 pip range. If we get some type of a pop to take this short. Again, price is rallying. Looking at this one on the daily, you can see that again we are technically in a downtrend setup. It's looking for sellers, so it would make sense if we pull back up again. This is a downtrend setup on the daily and weekly. So if it does pull back up, that is still a valid kind of entry for this one. Again, it marks off the wick over wick completely perfectly there. Again, we just use the 4 hour to kind of dial it in a little bit more. Taking shorts off this one. Let's see. It's here. Move that across. That's kind of what you're looking for. Select the white box. Oh. So not a bad placement. Again, it's in the bottom of all this drama. If this is a takeoff point, that wouldn't be bad if we kind of have a clear route back up again. As you can see, the spike almost brought it right back down very immediate, almost immediately last time. And again, your 5-to-1 is in a good place as well. Technically, we would probably be shooting for something down here as a better target. But again, a 5-to-1 risk reward ratio trade there is not necessarily bad as well. That's kind of what we'd be looking for on the 4 hour. All right. So that would be dollar CAD. And then last but not least, let's see dollar Singapore if it has anything. No, it's too much sideways movement. It's not trending. It's better when we had the trending back and forth, but we're not in the trending market as far as this one goes right now. All right. So that's all we got. That was our last pair. With that being said, let's bring across stream elements. I will give you guys 1 minute this time because I was told 30 seconds is not enough. Remember, we have 2 drawings, one from today and one from last week. Okay, so when this thing says 116, I'm pulling the trigger, I'm closing it down. So this way, make sure you have all your tickets in. So this time, nobody can complain that they didn't get their ticket in time. Sean. Mister, oh, come on. I just saw it. You and your dial-up connection. 30 seconds to go. Get him in. Get them in while they're hot. Ernest is like, I'm not messing around with that now. Actually, Ernest, you've tried to snipe this multiple times, like on the last little bit, and you've never missed out on one. After we do this, I'll pull oil. You can do oil real fast. I'll pull oil as I'm waiting for the last 15 seconds to come through. Oh, look at that. James came in later. 9 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bam. Winner is... Ooh. Ernest, that's your boy. He literally came in right after you, last one in, and stole it. It was that second ticket, James. It was that last minute one. Man. That's your boy, man. That's your boy. All right, let's get James 25 in here. All right, give him, whoops. Give him 25. All right. That being said, let me do the giveaway, draw the winner of last week's. No winners yet. Here were the ones from last Thursday when Eva was here, and the winner is Mike. Look at that. Mark is complete. Look at that, man. Good looking guy there. Mike the Spike pulls it out. Man, I don't even know where. Let's see. Let's see. Mike Spike. Oops. Helps when you spell it correctly. Uh-oh. Mike the Spike was not found. Oh, he's right there. He's there. Bam. There's your Thursday winners. All right. So with that being said, let me pull oil real quick. We'll do oil, and then I will get out of here and call. So let's bring this back on the daily. Okay, you guys can see we had all kinds of drama. So where we're sitting right now, again, looking at this one, again, I'm going to say, hey, listen, price kind of spiked down. We are sitting in somewhat of a demand zone right now, right? Right. Last time we had this little spike down, we had a nice little pull off. Now, this has been quite a collapse to the downside. We have pulled back. That's one area I'd be looking for. Obviously, another area that you want to look for is kind of down in here, right? You're looking at something down in this level. I mean, honestly, I'd probably say that although we had this little kind of hiccup right here, I think that's probably the better area. Let me send that across, right? Now, again, this is a bit of movement. I mean, this is about $3 down from where we are right now. So that's a lot of movement. Again, if anything, I'd have to say we're probably more likely to go to the top side. Let's drop over here for 4 hour. Yeah, you can see that we established this zone in this with this candle here, and then again got tested here, and is now stuck. So it's made a push all the way down, try to grab some more orders. We're technically sitting in an area of demand. If you look above, there's a little bit of a hiccup here in kind of this big grinding area. For the most part, any type of spike up, like if we get a spike up into this wick over wick here, that would be at 61.25 to 61.42. Oops, I deleted it. I guess the birds are really into oil. Okay, that would be an area where I'd be willing to take some type of a short if we get any type of a spike. And again, going from 58.09 up to 61, that's a pretty big spike as well. So we may have to go down to a lower level to see if we have much more on that. And really refining this, I wouldn't refine it too much. I still think this zone is good. We've created a level here. We've tested it here. So, I mean, if we could drop that far, again, that's $4. That's a lot. That's a huge move. I don't know that we'd go that far. Let's drop it down to an hour. See what we got here. Not too much clean in there, unfortunately. I mean, honestly, being where we are right now in this zone is probably like the best area. I mean, we had kind of a failure to go higher here, right? We made a pull up, we pushed up again. I mean, so if we wanted to mark off a zone in that area, and that's at 59, what, 59.95. I mean, again, still quite a haul, right? We're talking about $1, almost $2 to the top side. Right? Trying to stretch this out and make it look pretty. It looks like 59. We have something. Again, nice little movement off of 59. That's kind of 59.95, 59.20. Okay. Again, that'd be $1 up. Check oil real quick. Hold on. Or let me check forex factor real quick. So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 misses in a row. And as you guys can see, we've only had since March of last year, we've only had one that's been hit. So our forecast is supposed to be. Problem is the forecast is basically picked to be nothing. Like I hate when they have like this little tiny forecast. It's supposed to be a very bland forecast. I mean, if anything, I mean, and looking at this, I mean, just looking at the movement, I think we'd have to have some. I'm looking at this now, and to me, it looks like they're going to make a big drop to the downside and get back into this 56 range, or we're in this area. I think if anything, it's probably if the number is exactly as expected or very very close, I think we'll spike up into the 59. Otherwise, any type of a miss, I think this is going to fall down to 57. I think we'll hit this area. I see this level of basing right here. Trend line. No, not a trend line. To there is probably where we're going to end up tomorrow. 57.18 to 56.76. So move that bottom one, but no. That's kind of where I see us being. Okay. And again, you're talking about $1 to the downside. We're basically boxed in. $1 up, $1 down in either direction. I think is where we're probably going to end up tomorrow. But I'm likely long. Yeah. Like I said, just looking at it right now, I would have to say I'd be leaning more towards that. But if we do spike down to this level, or overnight we go down to this level, I mean that's the other thing. I mean, we're talking about what 85 is 6. We're talking about 70 cents to the downside before tomorrow morning. I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible. I mean, if we drop down into this area before tomorrow's news, then yeah, I'd be looking to go long off this one.
But as of right now, if news is in a little bit, I would say that I'm probably more likely. It looks like I'm a little bit more long in this case. Um, and then again, if we can pop short from here and then go long from these two zones. All right. Again, depending on the prices, maybe even look into some type of a butterfly situation, although they may be a little bit far for the butterfly. All right. Don't have time tonight to do gold, unfortunately for you. It's already 10:30, and I got to meet with this guy, and I don't know how long that one's going to take. And I'm going to volunteer tomorrow, I think, at my kid's school for a bit. So, yep, reason for waiting. Yep, same thing, James. All right, guys, with that being said, I am out of here. I will catch you guys tomorrow. I will still have access to my phone, so if you guys need anything, let me know. But I'm probably going to be volunteering tomorrow morning at the kids' school for a bit in the morning. So the boys are always like, hey, come in, come in, come in. So I'm going to go volunteer in the room for a bit early morning. But I will have my phone, and I probably will still be trading. So if you have any questions, message me on Discord. You guys take care, and I'll catch you tomorrow.